I'd work till I had to sleep.
You go at it like it was a regular job. Get to work and get it done.
Exactly. People think that's not romantic. No, it isn't, but that's the way I am.
November 15th, 1887, in St. Louis, Missouri, Marianne Moore was born. Her parents were John Moore and Mary Warner. Her parents separated before Moore was born, and she never met her father. Her father was institutionalized after having a nervous breakdown. The nervous breakdown was caused because her father lost all of his money in a scheme to build a smokeless furnace. Moore's mother, Mary Warner, was an English teacher at the Metzger Institute in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. Moore started writing at a young age. She went to Bryn Mawr College hoping to be an English major. Moore contributed regularly to her college literary magazine, but was told by her professors that writing was not standard. She then went on to become a biology major. While studying biology, she became more skilled with drawing, describing, and using technical vocabulary. Little did she know, all of her newly perfected skills would enhance her writing abilities. Moore graduated from college in 1909. She went on to work for Melville Dewey, the inventor of the Dewey Decimal System, used for organizing libraries. She then taught at the Carlisle Indian School. From 1909 through 1917, she published more than 50 poems in the National Literary Magazine. For the next 50 years, she published an average of 3 poems or less annually. Moore's first book was published in 1921. Her friends Hilda Doolittle and Robert McKelman published it without her knowledge. In 1918, Moore moved to New York City and began working at the New York City Public Library. The modernist era was a movement that emphasized more on how something takes place rather than what takes place. It didn't take long for Moore to catch on to the modernist scene. She was an editor and critic while working for The Dial, a literary magazine. Moore took her stand on modernism with her use of quotes. People loved that she pulled from real-life situations and quoted them in her poetry.
I save up things that I like pretty well until I need them.
How do you save them? Do you have little catalogs?
No, I have a little book. It's called School Assignments.
The Progressive Era lasted from the 1890s through the 1920s. With the Progressive Era, the United States experienced a flourish of immigrants and industrial city life. Tenement houses and hull houses were being created, and people started working in large factories, creating large quantities of products. Marianne Moore shows herself with the Progressive Era in her descriptive writings of plants and animals that is considered easily transferable to humanistic qualities. Moore took a stand on gender role issues through her poems discreetly by describing very human-like situations, but using animals as the characters.
No water so still as the dead fountains of Versailles. No swan, with swart-blind look askance and gondoliering legs, so fine as the chintz china one, with fawn-brown eyes and toothed gold collar on to show whose bird it was. Lodged in the Louis XV candelabrum tree of coxcomb-tinted buttons, dahlias, sea urchins, and everlastings, it perches on the branching foam of polished, sculptured flowers, at ease and tall. The king is dead.
Silence by Marianne Moore. My father used to say, superior people never make long visits. Have to be shown Longfellow's grave or the glass flowers at Harvard. Self-reliant like the cat that takes its prey to privacy, the mouse's limp tail hanging like a shoelace from its mouth, they sometimes enjoy solitude, and can be robbed of speech by speech which has delighted them. The deepest feeling always shows itself in silence, not in silence but restraint. Nor was he insincere in saying, make my house your inn. Inns are not residences. Poetry by Marianne Moore. I too dislike it. There are things that are important beyond all this fiddle. Reading it, however, with a perfect contempt for it, one discovers in it after all a place for the genuine. Hands that can grasp, eyes that can dilate, hair that can rise if it must. These things are important not because a high-sounding interpretation can be put upon them, but because they are useful. When they become so derivative as to become unintelligible, the same thing may be said for all of us, that we do not admire what we cannot understand. The bat holding on upside down or in quest of something to eat, elephants pushing, a wild horse taking a roll, a tireless wolf under a tree, the immovable critic twitching his skin like a horse that feels like a flea, the baseball fan, the statistician, nor is it valid to discriminate against business documents and school books. All these phenomena are important. One must make a distinction, however. When dragged into prominence by half-poets, the result is not poetry, nor till the poets among us can be literalists of the imagination, above insolence and triviality, and can present for inspection imaginary gardens with real toads in them. Shall we have it? In the meantime, if you demand on the one hand the raw material of poetry and all its rawness, and that which is on the other hand genuine, you are interested in poetry.